Welcome back to our second NBA Infinite Tips video. We're going to answer a lot of the common questions I have during the live stream and also questions I noticed in our comments. So here we go. 1. What's the player market for? The player market adds a new dimension to this game where you basically act as a team owner, where you can buy and sell players with your in-game gold. The availability of buying players is based on players like you and me who put up players for sale. You can also see the price trend history based on the player over time. Most of the time I noticed you can buy cards cheaper because people are trying to buy their favorite cards at the moment. So people are selling their unwanted cards even at a lower price than usual. And you want to keep an eye on your favorite player's price by adding them to your watch list. You do this by actually going to select the player that you want, and then you click the heart button on the top right. Like if I wanted to keep an eye on the price of Lillard, I would tap on the heart button on the top right there, and it's added to watch list. So now I can make my own custom list of players that I specifically want to keep an eye out for instead of just scrolling through the long playlist. This creates a more immersive game within a game. You basically want to place your price around the 90s to 100% of the other prices in the market if you want to sell right away. A lot of these cards are just going to increase in value, but I wouldn't think too much about the price. It's normally just a difference between 10,000, 100,000, and just sell it right away. And you don't want to have it sit in your pending trades for too long, because you can use that gold to get the cards that you actually want, which is kind of like the goal, right? Plus there's so many events and missions that you can collect even more gold from. So don't think about it too much. Just sell at the price that will actually guarantee a sale. It could be at the current price or even lower. I most of the time just do lower, like it's like 10,000, 100,000, just less than the price that's going for, and it usually sells within an hour. Number 2, how does pre-order work? Basically, there's cards that you cannot buy yet because no one else is selling it. If you scroll down in the player market, you'll see prices of none. That means there's no one selling it at the moment. So you would tap on the card that you want. Let's say if I wanted Davis, and I'll press on his name and then pre-order. Here you'll see what the rate has been selling in the past over the last week. And what you can do is set the price. This is where it gets a little tricky because a lot of the best cards are in high demand. There's going to be a lot of pre-orders in there. And as soon as one card goes on sale, you're wondering who gets the order. The answer is the highest bidder. So that's where it gets a little tricky. Most likely the highest bidder has been these prices here in the past. It's just been going up. So the most recent price that it sold for was 2.4. What I would honestly do if I want to secure this was I would increase the pre-order price. I'd say if you desperately want them, 2.6. You're more likely to get them. You're basically fighting against other players who want the same card, and the only difference is who's going to place the highest bid, how much you guys are bidding. So play the odds in your favor if you have the gold to back it up, to place a high order. Because if you place the pre-order price below the current price where it's been selling at, you'll most likely not have that pre-order filled and you will not get the card. The person who is willing to spend more on that same card will get it. And the pre-order will last 3 days. And if you don't get the card at that price because other people are getting it at that higher price, you'll get a full refund in 3 days. Number 3, how do you trade players? As of right now, there's no trading system in place. You cannot sell a specific player to a specific account. The people who say that they want to buy a card off your account are usually scamming you in some way. They'll probably send you a link, make you download something, and they'll hack your accounts. So just be careful of all that and just avoid anything in the global chat that sounds too good to be true. And remember, don't give out any personal information and use two-factor authentication on your linked social media accounts to your NBA Infinite accounts. Because once they get access to your social media account or even email, they'll just do this thing where they can reset your password, and it's just a mess. I've known about maybe 10 people who lost their account, their hard-earned account with high-value inventory. They lost it outright and they couldn't get it back at all. So don't let that happen to you and just stay safe. 3, how do you improve your players' abilities and skills? Basically, every card that you get on the market comes at their base level and it can only go up from there. It cannot go down. And also their skills are very basic at that level too. So what you do to improve your player is actually get more duplicates of the same card that you can buy from the market or packs. And you use your duplicates by clicking on the player and go to rank up. And then you fill this box right here with the plus signs and add in those base level cards there. And always use your duplicates to make sure it's 100% guaranteed to level up. As your player ranks up, the more required cards you need to get that 100%. You never really want to do it at 50% or 60% or 70% because you're actually going to lose that card if it doesn't work out. So as you level up, you also gain more skills and moves that you can use on the court. And you can find out the specific active skills and moves that you can do by clicking on skills. and then going in between here, and by seeing how to trigger over here. It tells you the steps you need to do, and you can also go to the training room and practice it on the courts. Some players have a few active skills to learn, and other players have at least 5. So make sure you know them all before you go into the higher ranks and play them. You got to be a master at it. Number 4, there's a lot of questions about passing. And there's 2 ways of passing actually. One is that you just tap on the pass button and it just passes to the nearest player. And most of the time, you don't want to do that because there's a wide open person across the court. So to guarantee an accurate pass, you will actually just hold down the pass button and target the player. It will show like a yellow arrow. It will show the arrow, and since you have 2 teammates, it's easy to see who you're going to pass it to. And for my Dynasty mode 5v5 players, this is where you want to put slide to select. The wheel select option when passing is very tricky. I feel like the slide effect is a lot better to use because you can see exactly where you're passing it to besides trying to read a list and then tapping again on who to pass it to. So slide effect is what I recommend for those having trouble passing. And while we're here, you can actually activate the heat map of your player onto the court during your live games. And what you'll do is turn on heat map switch on. You can also turn it off if you want. The heat map doesn't tell you exactly how much of a percent it increases. Maybe 1%, I don't know. But if you can't take an open shot in those areas, that's way better than taking an open shot in any other area. Number 5, there's questions about the blue spot in the meter when you shoot. Basically, if you come from NBA 2K, it's basically the same idea as the green. And it's the sweet spot where you want to release the shooting button, so you have the maximum probability of hitting that shot. There is a random part to the game where even if you hit the blue spot and it's wide open, there is a chance that you'll miss, but at least you still have the best chances of making it. And depending on your player, the blue sweet spot could be bigger, smaller, and depending on how you're shooting it, the meter can go faster or slower. So something that's hand in hand with the meter is actually that blue cone in front of every player. And that's basically the contesting zone. When you contest a shot, you're making it harder for the shooter to make his shot. So guarding from that position or jumping from that position to block a shot is the best thing to do. And if you're shooting the ball, you might notice that if you're missing a lot of shots, that's because someone's standing in your cone and is contesting your shots. Number 6, the best way to learn your player moves and skills. I highly recommend the practice room. And this is where you go select your player. Okay, so when you confirm into a room, the active skills that you have available to learn are all here. So if I want to practice the Euro step, it actually has a computer practice it for you first, and then it tells you the steps that you have to do on the top. And you'll just do what it says. So it says drag the move stick forward and drag the shot stick to the right. And it'll tell you if you did it correctly or not. And this is where you can practice your repetition to make sure it gets into your muscle memory. And then once you feel like you mastered your moves, you can go to you can practice it against someone in the normal 1v1 matches. There's no stakes, nothing's on the line with your rank, and you can just go in there, go in with your player, and use it against a defender. 7, is there controller support? Not at the moment, no, but they're always listening to feedback, and I'm pretty sure controller support is probably the number 1 or number 2 suggestion. But I heard there's some workarounds with emulators used on PC, but I haven't done it yet. But make sure you hit the follow if you're curious about it, because I'll be testing it out myself. Number 8, how to sell the player that's displayed in the main menu. If you did not know, you cannot sell the player that's displayed in the main menu here. First, what you have to do is you have to swap them out to a different player. You would do that by tapping on the icon on the top left, and then hitting that button on the top right, that circle, and going to change player. You change him to someone else, and boom, he's available to be sold on the market now. Number 10, how to add a friend. It's kind of funny that the friends list and the team icon looks almost the same, but basically you have to just remember it's on the top right next to the settings button, and then you go to find friends, and then you can tap their username here. You gotta make sure that they're on the same server too. If they're on opposite servers, there's no way you can find them. So either you move over to their server or they move over to your server, or just don't add each other at all and just figure it out there. There's NBA Infinite players in EU who play in NA servers all the time. Shout out to you guys. And they hardly notice a ping difference, and it's still enjoyable. Number 11, I often get asked about tips, and my main tip for just about anybody would just be get comfortable with your controls. For some of you guys, it's your first time playing a mobile game. For others, it's your first time playing a basketball mobile game. and some of you guys have a lot of experience with mobile games. So what separates someone from someone being very good at this versus someone who's still completely new? And it's that they know what each button does and where it is without even looking at it. And the default's just fine. If you want to get more fine-tuned, you can use a third finger or fourth finger to help you out. I'm experimenting with fourth finger. I use my shoot button as my pointer finger and my thumbs to help me move and press the other buttons. But we're all still figuring out the game, so we actually don't, I think no one knows what they're doing. But a good general rule, whatever device you use, and just place your thumb down. And wherever it's comfortable, have your buttons around that area of your thumb so you don't move your thumb all across the screen like that. How people get around it sometimes is that they use 4-finger or 3-finger if that's comfortable for you. But I would suggest if this is your first time on mobile, is just stick with the default and just maybe resize some of the buttons and shift things around. Everyone's constantly shifting their buttons around to make it comfortable for them, even if they played the same game for years. So until you find that perfect spot, don't touch it. I come from a lot of different mobile games in the past, and this is the most easiest button loadout. There's some mobile games that have at least 20 customizable buttons that you have to move around and get comfortable with. But here, there's about 6, maybe 8 buttons that you can move and keep track of easily. And the goal is to eventually not look at those buttons when you're tapping it. So your eyes are always staying on the court and on the ball instead of what button to press. Number 12, how to alley-oop. Basically, the alley-oop is not on every player. It's a skill you have to unlock on certain players as you level them up. I'll do an in-depth tutorial on alley-oops later, so make sure you hit the like and follow if you want more NBA Infinite content. Number 13, what I would like to see in NBA Infinite. I think what they're doing so far since the beta into the global launch is amazing. They're constantly updating, listening to feedback, and they should keep doing what they're doing. I think what would be interesting to see is that if it could be cross-platform with PC and console. Right now, NBA Infinite is disrupting the whole NBA mobile scene. There's so many people who are loving it. They're making the transition from NBA Live and NBA 2K Mobile, and they're thoroughly having fun with NBA Infinite. I hear it all the time in the live streams, in the comments. It's just a blast to play, and I personally love it myself. I've seen a lot of mobile games get globally launched, and it doesn't even come close to how smooth and responsive and optimized this game is on a lot of different devices.